What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to expose the top secret, biggest secret in bass fishing. And this is one that I definitely want to dive into, and it does have to do with forward-facing sonar. So let's dive into it right now. All right, so what I'm talking about is utilizing forward-facing sonar on your transom, on your jack plate. More specifically, this is something that has been done. I've done it a few years now. I'm well versed and understand this very well. And so I really wanted to do this video, number one, to tell everybody how to utilize it, but also I don't want someone to be misled in a position where, hey, this is the end all be all, and I want to sort of break down my setup so that way you can figure out if this is for you, set up for you. Because number one, this is a large investment. I mean, it is a huge investment. I have this system on both sides of my jack plate, and it works great for me in some scenarios, but I think that I need to dive into a little bit more into it and why. So let me just walk you through my setup first, and then we can talk a little bit about how I'm utilizing it and where I see this going. Because I do feel like there's some point that we do have to have limitations on how many graphs we have on our boats, how many things and toys we have. The thing is, in just my personal opinion, that boats in the cost of fiberglass has gone up. We've added more expensive electronics, more units on our boats, more lithium batteries, and there's all great things that have ultimately gotten us to be better anglers or more efficient with our time out there in the water, but it also has skyrocketed the price of bass boats if you want all this technology. And I think the optics is that if you don't have all this technology, then you can't compete. And so I just wanted to sort of at least address that right now, because I feel like that's not fair. That's not fair to the sport. I think that everybody, there's different opportunities for different folks and different setups for different folks. And I think that that's why this one, more so, I wanted to bring it to you guys' attention and give up the secret that so many are trying to keep under wraps. So I have two Active Target 2s on the back of my boat right now. Also with these mounts right here, cost on it's about $1,700 each Active Target 2. Plus, if you do like a live scope, I'm sure they're about the same, similar pricing. Plus $300-400 for the brackets. So you're looking at a $4,000 investment just right here alone. Okay, so that's just off of the transducers. That's not talking about some of the electronics or some of the power to operate all this. So the lithium batteries that I run for this, I do run Miller Tech lithiums. I have two run in parallel. They're 130 or 120. Let me see, actually. I tell you, that's why I was like 135 amp hour. So they are 135 amp hour Miller Tech lithium batteries run in parallel. So that's 270 hours of lithium power all day long to be able to run all this stuff. Now, that being said, so that's the setup for back here. I'm running that Bob's jack plate on the back. And now let's just jump up and sort of talk about what I did up front. All right, so now that we are here in the cockpit, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I am running. And you guys, a lot of you know this, but not everybody knows exactly why. So there's an HDS 12 Pro right here. This is what I have on 80 to 90%. 100% of the time I'm out there on the water, I'm utilizing this unit right here. I have a Humminbird 10 Helix. That's just for Lake Master mapping. There is no transducer cable that is mounted to this one right here. It's literally just all that's for. I could do that on an iPad with the One Boat Network app. I just sometimes I just put it right there, and it's worked well for me. And that's sort of what I prefer. So that's fine. And now I have this HDS 16. So you're probably asking me, why do I have an HDS 16? And the reason behind that, actually, I'm going to turn it on for y'all. I'm gonna give it all up. I'm giving it all up. I'm gonna give it all up, because this is the thing. I want to give it all up so then I can explain to you everything about it. So just turn this HDS 16 on. Love this unit overall. I would love to actually just run one unit. And so the reason why that I'm running this right now is I'm running both of my active targets, my left and my right, off of this one unit. So I literally have them run left and right off of the unit. That's exactly my setup right now. Now, this being said, that is what I prefer. The big issue that you're going to run into if you decide to run this system, is you're going to have interference. So when you're running both of those transducers on the back, you will not be able to have a very clear image on your side imaging over here on your right hand side. So you sort of got to pick one or the other to really get the most out of the product, I would say. Also, with side imaging or utilizing live imaging, there's not history. So you don't get the history to go back in time or back behind where you've already idled. You have to be able to see what you're seeing right here live. And if you if you keep your eyes off the screen, or you look over here and all of a sudden there was a couple fish there, you missed it. You know, that's a negative there. There is a lot to it. It draws more power. It takes a better setup. And for me, the best system for two of them is that HDS16. Now, that being said, I have them all mounted in my day box up here. All the guys, shout out to Weedas Marine. They've actually been doing this for 3 years now on my boats. 3 years. And almost 4. I think it was 2019, 2020. It's been a while. I've been doing this a while. And so this is the reason why I wanted to do this more so. They're well versed and understand this technology, understand what it does and why. And there's a lot of anglers that are jumping on this and they think it's the end all be all. I'm here to tell you that I love Active Target. I think it's absolutely amazing. The technology that Live Scope and Active Target both can produce and let us understand bass fishing, understand the fish behavior. But I'm going to tell you this. This is very, very, very conditional. This setup and system, for me, I'll give you an average of, Nick can tell you this, Red Crest. So I have the system on my boat. It costs an extra, whatever. So the extra cost that it has to have an HDS16 over a 12 and all this other stuff, I'm just going to say it's about $5,000, right? A $5,000 additional cost to this boat and system that I'm running. I would say on average over the last 4 years, I've run and had this running about less than 10% of the time. Less than 10%. And that is fair. Now I'm going to tell you the reasons why. To me, side imaging is very superior because I have history and I can see what's going on. If I'm looking for brush, if I'm looking for a big school of fish, I have the history that I'm idling by. I can see what's going on. I can understand what's transpiring. And all of this is cool and it's flashy and it's new. But you're seeing this wave. I do not like the optics of what it looks like. And so I know that, yes, I'm part of that problem because I have it. But I know sort of when I like to use it and it works a little bit and it's more efficient. But I also know that 90% of the time this is not going to play. For me, 90% of the time when I travel all over the country, this doesn't even get turned on. And I think it's really important for people to understand, not to be misled. And I don't want people to think that they have to have everything. You know what I'm saying? This is a world that we live in right now that it's like keeping up with the Joneses. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm gonna have to keep up with this guy and that guy, and I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a lot of anglers out there that do not understand this system, and I think a lot of anglers are reacting, professional anglers specifically, are reacting to the technology and what all's going on and how other anglers are catching them. So they're overreacting and putting on 6 units and all of these things because they feel like they have to keep up, right? They have to keep up with the technology. They have to learn. They have to adjust with the times. And I think there's an overcompensation a lot of times with that. And you're seeing that right now. So I don't want that to translate into a negative for the consumer, the day in and day out consumer, which is a lot of you that follow my channel. That's where my heart is in this video. Not that this is not great technology. Now, I will say the positives of this. Okay, the positives technology is great for seeing suspended fish. It's great to see fish that are singles, like that I'm missing on side imaging. I can't see a single two bass a lot of times on side imaging, or I might miss it, right? A big school of fish on the Tennessee River, I'm not using this technology at all. I'm utilizing side imaging, what I've been using for years. Brush piles, I'm utilizing this technology. Now, I will say this, the one thing that I do love about this, and this does help you, if you are an angler that doesn't quite understand side imaging, this can really be a great technology for that angler that's trying to learn. It's a big investment in yourself to understand it, but it could be a good opportunity for you to put one on the back of your jack plate, and you can idle around, and you can ultimately see what your side imaging is showing you. So if you see something there, it's going to be a little bit, you're going to have some interference, but you can still get a little bit of a gist of what you're seeing, right? There's a tree. Okay, that's a tree on forward or on side imaging. That's a tree on my forward, and on my side, basically my live side imaging, basically at this point, active target, and that helps. And I think there's value in that to the consumer to learn a little bit faster and cut the learning curve, right? But I just more so wanted to give you an understanding. And I think it might be more than $5,000 actually out of setup, because you have to have some good batteries, which I recommend having good batteries anyway. Which because I feel like good clean power and all the things that you need to be running this, a harness and your bow, all of those things that help that. So, with that being said, there's definitely places that this technology helps. Now, also, as a professional angler traveling all over the country, you have to understand this as well. Whether you're fishing the Elite Series or the BPT, we both have about 2.5 days of practice to break down a big lake. So every little bit of information and every little bit of an edge that you can get in this scenario, like this is a lot of information that you're gaining by being able to look at this technology in a short amount of time. In 2.5 days, I have to break down a Lake Champlain. I mean, it's a huge body of water that this makes it more efficient that I'm not jumping to the front of the boat, dropping my trolling motor, seeing what I just did, X, Y, Z, moving on. So I feel like a lot of times, you guys get a look and see what's trending, right? I think long term, I think that it's a cool way to utilize the technology, but I don't think it's that functional for that many people. And that's sort of the point of this video, is I just don't want there to be a point where everybody feels like they have to keep it. When it translates to angler in the professional realm, they can feel like, hey, I need to stay up with the Joneses a little bit there, because it's just sort of part of the sport. But when that translates to the consumer and the everyday consumer, and they don't quite know what they're getting into, that bothers me, right? I don't want someone to be buying something just to buy something. I want them to truly understand what they're buying, and if it works for you and it's going to help you be a better fisherman and understand, and that's in your budget and you have a blank check, then great. That's a great opportunity for you to learn. But I want to be real with this, and so that's why I wanted to expose it. So there's a lot of different things. If you are looking to set a system up like this, I will say this: Weedas Marine in Kentucky, they rig my boats. Those guys there, Steve, the whole crew, know very well. They know all about this system. Like I said, I would argue that probably better than most, than about anybody out there, being that it's been multiple years in knowing the nuances within this. So if you are looking at potentially rigging your boat up like this, then give them a shout. But I'm not all about buy. I wanted to add this information to you all and give this information to you all and let you all make your own opinion. But that's my opinion on it. Now, that being said, I'm not talking the active target in the front. I think it's great technology. I think there's a lot of different things out there that are cool about it, but I think that it is getting a little crazy, and I think that at some point in time we're going to have to, I don't know what it is, but eventually we're going to have to cut it down a little bit. And so we'll talk more on that later, but MDJ just got here, and we got some work to do. So I'll see y'all in the next one. All right, so I thought about this a little bit, and I want to take you guys out in the water to ultimately see what this looks like. So let's cut to that right now. All right, so now that we're out here on the water, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. As you can see right here on my right-hand side of my screen that is pointing That way out into the middle of the lake, and the left-hand side is pointing upward, up on top of this. Basically, it's a little flatter area. We're in some deeper water. We're in a highland reservoir right now, so that gives you sort of an understanding of what you're seeing. And the boat is rocking, so that's going to be sort of, you see the right side's not rocking as much as the left side. I wonder if this is on stable view. It's not, so boom, put it on stable view. It does not seem to be looking out as far right there, but I do put them on stable view. So I'll show you right here what it looks like. So that is the reason why I run an HDS 16 for the most part. It's just because I'm able to see all this information at once. There's some bait right there. There's a fish up high on the right hand side, single fish. I just feel like a drum or something like that. So I'm just idling down through here. I'm not gonna be able to see that single fish on my side imaging. So that's the advantage to this right here. There is a log right here that I would have missed right here on my side imaging. Now, my interference between the two is definitely more when I have both of them running. Now, I could go into just a little log right there. It's just paying attention to what's going on here. I can always see what's happening over here. There's things that I miss, so like rock transitions, understanding the way things lay out. I can see little rock rows. Like, you just have a better understanding of a full picture of what's going on your side imaging or side scan. This is more so very specific. And they both work together. There's actually some tires over here on the right hand side that I really didn't see over here on this unit. So it's just, you know, they all have their moments, if you will, and there's times when you can utilize both. Again, the majority of the time I'm utilizing this technology over here on the right. I've not seen a fish yet, so I'm just sort of going out there. There's a couple fish right there down low. I mean, there was a couple fish, but it's not like anything like, okay, cool. You see a couple fish here and there. You see some bait out there on the right. A little bit of rock and rubble over here on the left, and now I can sort of see what that is right here on side imaging. There's actually it's actually a lay down tree with a couple of tires around that area. That's like where a ditch comes in at. I can see that whole setup of exactly what the picture view is right here. So that's sort of the breakdown of what this technology can do. It gives you a better understanding in some scenarios of what's sort of transpiring, what's going on, how much, you know, you don't have to get up on your trolling motor and look around as much. You know, it's just sort of giving you an understanding. But again, this technology over here on the right hand side that I use 90% of the time, this technology costs, I think, you know, $500. Well, you can get a 3-in-1, which they're more discontinued. I think those are like $300 to $500, and maybe the newest transducer is might be under $1,000. Where this is, you know, it's going to be that $5,000, and you typically want to. You have to isolate this to where it's not networked. So there's a lot of moving parts to this if you want to do this. Like, again, the guys at Weezer Marine do a great job of setting some stuff up like this as well. They've always done a great job on my boats, and I trust them to do this because, like I said, they've been doing it for a while. So that being said, pros and cons, you guys can make an opinion for yourself on this one. And I sort of feel like the optics of more transducers and more money in boats, and this is just the facts behind it, okay? I don't want there to be this optic and this the perception that you have to have all of this stuff to be a professional angler. And right now, in some ways, I think a lot of people feel that way, and a lot of young anglers feel that way. I mean, I can do 90% of what I do, 99% of what I do with one single live transducer up front. I don't need this. I can put my trolling motor down. There's a little bit more work involved in detail too, or I'm not sitting in the cockpit, you know, spending my time here. But I can do the majority of that with one transducer up there, HDS 12, in side imaging and down imaging and mapping. You can do it. So you see a lot of these screens. It helps us professional anglers be more efficient with our time out there in the water. But I'm not against, you know, restricting the how much we can have. Again, it's right now it's open to on both sides, on BPT and on the Elite Series. So until that, I think guys are going to continue to just you know, do what they feel like they can do to be more efficient on the water. Which, I mean, you can't blame them when you have that kind of money wrapped up in a tournament and that is your profession. you're going to try to make sure you have everything you can to ultimately perform at the highest level. And but I wanted to give you guys all the pieces of the puzzle with this system and exactly what my thoughts are on it, the pros, the cons, all the stuff that's going on, to where at least you can make the educated decision on whether this technology right here with side imaging or with live transistor on your back, on your transom, if that's something for you. And so take it for what it is. This is definitely not a me trying to sell you on anything. This is me just giving you what it is. I just don't feel like, I feel like a lot of people, oh, it's the greatest, best thing in the world, this, that, the other. I wanted to, and it might be for some people. So I'm not going to try to say that's not in some cases, but at least you guys have a little bit more information now to make an educated decision on what works for you. So hope this one helps you all out, and I'm excited to get out back on the water and try to reel a few bass in. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one.